So this is called Gun Owners Debate Owning an AR-15. I watched the first 10 seconds and decided, yeah, I'm gonna do a rebuttal on that. Now, hopefully, it lives up to expectations. If you're seeing it, it did at least a little bit. So let's get into it.
How are gun owners and gun enthusiasts feeling about all of the talk of new gun policy? I sat down with a panel of gun owners from Florida, Alabama, Connecticut, Arizona, and New York. Three of them say they are now having second thoughts about their own weapons in light of the massacre in Parkland, Florida.
Here's my problem with this already. What does my gun have to do with what happened in Florida? What does that have to do with my gun? What does happen at any school ever have to do with my gun?
So here's part one of our conversation. How many of you felt after the Parkland shooting that something was going to change, that Parkland was a tipping point? Show of hands. Why did you feel this time was different?
This time because the kids, the children from the school have been so front and center and so active that it just gave a little bit of a different feeling, especially because they're the next generation and they're speaking up. Not
Key word, well, key phrase. It gave a different feeling. Not a different facts. A different feeling.
that I agree with what they're pushing, but I think the use of social media and the snowball effect from what they've been able to do in this past week is entirely different from any of the previous incidents.
People have had enough. It's really that simple. I think sentiment is changing. I said the first day that there was going to be a tipping point at this point. We've just had enough of this constant carnage. And the question becomes, why do we not do something about it? It's really...
Okay, for one, he said constant carnage, and I'm assuming he's talking about, mass shootings as far as carnage goes. Well, here, that's a little bit of a slap in the face, and at some point I'm going to muster up the energy to do so, but I'm going to look up the stats from Detroit alone. Or I might include Chicago because I heard they have a high gun crime rate despite having gun control. And I'm going to look up all the kids who were shot in drive-bys or at a party that got too rowdy. You know, stuff like that. And I'm going to say, why didn't you ever bring this up? And those kids, I guarantee you, most of them are shot with handguns. Most of them. So do you not care about those kids? Because if you do, you should want all guns removed. And that's a no-no.
that simple. Why?
I think that we're having a really hard time focusing in on what the real issues are. And we all want this to stop. And we all want a fix, you know? But the fix isn't banning guns. The fix is much deeper than that.
Well, let's just take a vote right here. How many people would be comfortable with an assault weapons ban? Show of hands. 2 of you. Okay, why not?
I don't think there needs to be a ban. There needs to be modifications to the weapons, limitations to the weapons.
Meaning not high magazine capacity?
Correct.
I don't agree with that either. Again, you keep making rules that tell me you're either stupid or lying. We want you, because I heard a dude say something about a 100-round magazine trying to be funny. But look, even if you say, oh, let's limit the magazines to 10, which is the number they keep bringing up. Okay. So you're okay with 10 kids getting shot, just not 30. Really? Really? So if you limit it to 10 rounds and the massacres keep happening, which, by the way, I'm recording this in December 10th, 2020, 9 months after the lockdowns, haven't heard of one mass shooting. Do they not matter anymore? Did COVID stop them? Maybe we should keep COVID around forever and just lift gun control, because apparently COVID stops mass shooting. So let's keep COVID. Hell, I'll do you one better. Let's keep the mask. Get rid of gun control, because we don't need it, because we got COVID. COVID stops mass shootings. Stupid. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to limit it to 10. Somebody's going to go on a mass shooting with like 10 round magazines. And then people are going to go, well, we need to limit to where you can only have one magazine per household of any gun. And then when somebody goes and kills 10 people, especially if they do it, if several of those events happen, because you didn't change people's mindsets, you just changed the what they can legally carry when they're going on this mass killing spree, right? When that happens, you're going to say, you know what, fuck this, all guns go, get rid of all of them. Which only makes sense, because if you want to stop people from dying, you can't impose a law that only stops some people from dying. Jeez.
An AR-15 should not be used as a home protection weapon.
Why not?
Welcome to
Because
1984.
it's
Do you know what a fabulous gun that is for women?
It is a fabulous gun. So is a shotgun.
Yeah, shotgun's actually
No,
a
but
much
a woman,
better weapon.
No, but
for
it's
home.
much harder to handle. Not
You don't
for
have
a
to.
woman. But
Your
also-
accuracy doesn't have to be.
Direction.
That's
Terry has a
that's
great
fallacy
word.
too.
And
That's a
And to
fallacy.
hear a pump action shotgun go.
Where's feminism when you need them? All these men talking over this woman and telling her what she doesn't need. Jeez, have some
Most
respect.
people
That's a
leave.
fallacy.
You also don't need home protection. You don't need guns for home protection. The probability that you'll be involved in a gun-related crime is 0.003%.
If I have somebody breaking into my home, I need a means of self-defense.
You lose.
Whether that's a handgun, whether that's an AR-15, that should be my choice. And frankly, I think the law allows that choice.
If they banned AR-15,
Look at that. Great point. I don't understand how you can tell me I don't need a gun and or I don't need a 30-round magazine. Because then you joke about it and say, if many people want to kill you, well then, what are you doing wrong? Like, I want to just excuse that as just a joke. I understand jokes. I'll just let that slide. But seriously, I'll tell a story. So, back when I was in high school, my friend told me about her brothers were in a situation in which, because they were beefing with somebody, they ran at night. They decided to run and kick in their back door. I think they said they firebombed it or they started shooting. One of the two, something like that, right? Now, I'm not talking about them specifically. Like, I'm not talking about gang banging, but those dudes who she was talking about, they're fairly popular people. They have a grandma that often has kids that she babysits on the weekend, and who's to say if they didn't, but who's to say that they wouldn't retaliate on her? You want to say she doesn't need 30 rounds? You want to say if her niece is adult niece is there helping her, she doesn't need 30 rounds? So tell me that there's no situation in which I need 30 rounds. And then to tie that in with the idea of nobody should have a weapon of war, which you can go to war with any weapon, you idiot. Damn it. But if the government is more than willing to bring a war to my home, I kind of do. You can't tell me I'll never be in a war. You can't tell me that. You cannot tell me that I will never. You can't guarantee that. So don't tell me that you should be able to take away my quote-unquote weapon of war. And excuse that example. It was the only example I could really think about off the top of my head. Oh, another example. Back when I was, let's say about 13, 14, there was this phenomenon happening, at least in Detroit. I'm not sure if it was happening anywhere else. But they found out that if you take Drano and foil and stick it in a pop bottle and shake it up, it'll explode. Now, small sample size, very small sample size. But if people can figure that out, you don't think they can figure out how to make any weapon at home? But all you did was take it from people who simply want to have a gun at home? Don't tell me you care about saving lives when you want to take defense away from me and make me more vulnerable.
Chance, you could still defend yourself with your handgun.
I could.
Possibly.
And a shotgun.
You guys are missing the key point
Yeah,
here.
what
This
is
is
it?
a Second Amendment right.
We're
This
not
is our
taking away your
the
gun.
AR-15.
Let me finish, please.
Sorry.
Let me finish, please. This is a constitutionally protected right. This is not a government legislated privilege, such as driving a car. This is a completely different
Yep,
conversation.
fair enough.
Please stop using cars. Please stop using cars. Cars may not be in the Constitution, but don't tell me it's a privilege. Like, stop it. Like, what? Stop allowing them to compare guns to fucking cars. That's how they get away with this shit. But you need a license for a car. When honestly, people, you don't. You don't need a license to own a car. You need a license to drive it on public roads. You don't even if you have a private property, you can own a car and drive it on your goddamn property, can't you? This is why you should stop using comparisons, because y'all suck at comparisons. Your comparisons are worse than my examples.
But do you think the forefathers meant the AR-15?
I think they meant our protection against.
Yes. Yes, it is. Now, did they know what the name of the gun was going to be? No. But are you seriously? Here's the problem. When you do the whole "it was back then" thing, that I get tired of hearing. If I can have the arms you had back then, why shouldn't I have them now? Oh, because they're more lethal. Well, that was the most lethal they had back then, right? How stupid can you? If all that's changes was it's more advanced, it doesn't say that you can't have it after that point. I should have exactly what the army has, because the government can use the army to come at me and do whatever they want to me. Allowing the government to have all the power, I know y'all don't believe this, but that's a bad idea. It's a really bad idea.
Tyrannical gun of government
Thank you.
and for our self-protection.
So do you believe
Of course
that-
they don't know what the guns are, but if you can't start messing with our constitutionally protected rights
Well,
when
we
you
already
start
have.
doing
There are interpretations, obviously, of what the forefathers meant. I
Right.
mean, you're not actually allowed to have an automatic weapon.
I know why you want them.
This is a horrible example. Oh, well, there are restrictions that we do with the Constitution. Okay. You're breaking the law then. That's all that means. I saw, for those of you who know who Colin Noir is, he was debating TMZ. And they used the First Amendment, right? They said, well, the First Amendment says you should make no laws, but we make laws. So therefore you're breaking that law too. So stop breaking the both of them. How about that? Kind of excuse is that? Well, we break this law, so let's break this one too. No. How about we don't?
I know they make a lot of noise. They shoot a lot of bullets. Very macho gun. It's cool looking. I understand why they want them. But nobody can tell me why you need it.
We don't have to
Exactly.
need it. It's a constitutionally protected right. I don't
Well,
know.
not that-
I don't
not.
Those
have
kids
to
need it to live.
Yeah.
Of course they
not
did.
a
And
But the AR-15 isn't a
protected right.
constitutionally protected right.
It's no different from any other.
Arms are,
You have the
but
right.
not an AR-15.
You have the
This
right
arm.
to self-defense,
Yes.
and it's not only a Second Amendment right. You have the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and that is all about protecting yourself, protecting your family.
And all those kids have the right to life, and they're dead.
You cannot yell fire.
Okay. All right. What constitutional right says the right to life? All right, because I want to read that one. I want to read that one so we can have a conversation about that. I want to do a whole video discussion with somebody maybe even a panel about that right. And please explain to me how me owning an AR-15 takes away their right to life. Explain this to me. Please explain it to me. This is why y'all should stop using all examples, all everything. Just stop it. Stop. You can have a right to anything, but then you can't then turn around and say, oh, because somebody used this right wrong, therefore your right should be gone too. How stupid is that? How moronic is that?
In a movie theater, even though we have the right to free speech, and we've already decided.
Oh my God! If you let's take it back.
All about protecting yourself, protecting your family.
And all those kids have the right to life, and they're dead.
You cannot yell fire in a movie theater, even though we have the right to free speech.
You can't shoot a gun in a movie theater either. Why do y'all do that? Why do y'all do that? I seen this guy on this gun debate earlier today. And he said something about bank fraud. Right? Because the guy was like, you make gun laws, but they don't affect the actual criminals. They only affect the people who already obey laws. And he said, well, by that point, we shouldn't have a law against bank fraud because, people will just commit fraud anyway. Okay. Morons, pay attention, please. And I'm sorry about the name calling, but you give me no choice, honestly. Let's think about where you all need to understand where comparisons work, right? Fraud, bank fraud, right? It's up. You can't see me, but let's put bank fraud at the top of the branch, right? What else will go at the top of the branch? Murder. That's what you would put at the top when it comes to gun control. Murder. Because you can still have bank transactions. You can still have bank accounts. You can have different ways to bank, like ATM, in person, things like that. But bank fraud would be at the top. Whereas murder will also be at the top, and it will branch off as to murder by gun, murder by knife, murder by hands and fists. Ban banking transactions, type of transactions. Ban assault rifles. Ban checking accounts. Ban would be be equivalent to like banning, I don't know, maybe the 30-round magazine or something like that. But you see how stupid that is now, right? You still have a penalty for killing somebody with a gun unjustly. Just like you have a penalty for banking unjustly, which would be bank fraud. What? Y'all aren't this stupid. I know you're not. So stop acting like it.
And we've already decided that you cannot have an automatic weapon. Right?
Well, undecided, because that's wrong too then. Can't do something wrong and then say, well, let's double down. Two wrongs don't make a right, sir.
So all we're talking about is where the line is.
But the line is for military use, and an AR-15 is not a military rifle.
That military use shouldn't be a line. It shouldn't be a line. The military should not have access, or they should not have a right to access something, a firearm that I can't. They shouldn't. I know it's like, oh my God, you're horrible, you're ridiculous. I'm not. Again, our government has shown with this COVID thing that they're more than willing to overstep their bounds. They're more than willing to tell you, shut the fuck up, bitch smack you, and say, we're taking your shit, we don't care. All these people, that lady that went viral, because they shut her business down, but then put something else right next to her business that was exactly the same when they told her hers wasn't good enough. That's where that comes into play. That's where that comes into say, hey, look, we're going to operate. Oh, well, we're going to, cool, send your goons. Send them. I'm going to have mine too. We got the same shit you got. Try it. If everybody had the means to say that, yes, in some cases, obviously, it could be used wrong. But as you see, the government, well, I'm talking to people who probably agree with them. But as people like me see, the government could do things wrong as well. So why do they have the power, that kind of power to do wrong, but we don't?
It is a regular semi-automatic rifle that looks badass.
What about a
That's
semi?
what it
What
is.
about a
Would your
semi
life
with a bump
change
stock?
any if you didn't own an assault rifle?
Yes.
An AR-15. Would your lifestyle change any?
My lifestyle?
Yeah, would it
no,
change
because
it?
there's
That's
other
irrelevant.
firearms I would
Exactly.
purchase. But my concern for my country and in the protection of our Second Amendment rights would.
So
And that's scary.
At what point will we have to stand up against our government and use lethal force?
We don't know. Neither do you. We are so comfortable in this country, it's ridiculous. I've heard a dude, I listened to this guy on a sports radio, and somehow the Second Amendment came up, and he said the same shit. When are we ever going to have to fight a government? Man, you people are delusional. Man. Well, you know what? You people are right. I just realized you're right. Because all we do is lay down when they say do it. So you're right. We'll never have to fight them because all we do is say yes, sir. You're absolutely right. My bad. I'm sorry.
In the year 2000.
It's happening in Venezuela.
Venezuela.
There's a million slippery slope arguments that we can use, but let's try to stay in the present. So here's what's being proposed today, okay? Do you support the end of the sales of bump stocks, making bump stocks illegal? Show of hands. 3 of you. Why would you not support an end to bump stocks that mowed down 58 people from a window?
Well, that's a loaded question.
A gun cannot do anything unless someone is operating it.
Thank you.
It is a tool. And if sick people have a mental issue,
Yeah.
that is them. It's not the gun.
I could do the
It's an
same thing with my
By
brother.
law, it's not illegal. It's
an accessory.
It's not considered an automatic weapon.
Okay.
You have a bump stock.
And you know
Realize
what-
how many times has a bump stock been used in a mass shooting?
But why are you comfortable with, why are you defending bump stocks?
Because I think it should be available. I think it should
Why?
be available to
For
those
what?
out there because it's not an issue of the gun itself or the weapon itself.
Right.
It's an issue of the individual behind it.
And which individual would want to use a bump stock?
A crazed individual, right?
Why
Who
not
was going
ban
to a
them?
mass shooting.
Why would you answer the question that way? I hope you're going somewhere with that. But here's the problem when you say bump stock. They've proven you can easily make a bump stock at home. So banning them from people who actually want to use them. Listen. I've never seen a bump stock in person. I'm just really new into guns. So I don't really have an argument for or against bump stock. But when you keep, again, making laws for people that just want to enjoy their gun, you come on. No, stop making laws for me because somebody else screwed up. Stop it. So I defend bump stock because hell, they're a tool. They're not the thing out there killing people.
Shooting.
Why not ban them?
What does that accomplish, though? What are we going
It
with
keeps those 58 people alive.
Once you start doing that, what's the
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So here's what I've seen on YouTube, right? Apparently what a bump stock is, it ties around the trigger, and then you pull the gun forward, and then the because of the pressure, the force, it makes the gun constantly bounce off the bump stock and your body, I think, and it just keeps shooting without you having to use your finger and squeeze the trigger. What the fuck did I just say? What was I talking about? Oh, shit. All right, time to rewind.
A crazed individual, right?
Why
Who
not
was going
ban
to a
them?
mass shooting?
Why not ban them?
What does that accomplish, though? What are we
Oh,
going?
yeah, she said it would keep the 58 people alive. No, it wouldn't. Because if you think about it, and the same thing with automatic rifles, right? Fully automatic. You don't guarantee that you're going to hit more people because it's automatic, right? And that's one thing they keep saying about the AR-15. You can shoot too many bullets too fast. Yeah, but if you don't have any skill with that gun, a bump stock, automatic, fully automatic, anything, it doesn't mean you're going to kill more people. You know who kills more people with a gun? Someone who can actually use the gun, aim the gun, and more understandably, pick off people I guess, better. But bump stop doesn't equal, by default, more deaths. It doesn't. Because you can be all as hell out of control with that damn gun. You can literally just be swaying back and forth as it shoots. Swaying back and forth as it shoots. People are running around in different directions, unless they're all running towards a door. But it doesn't guarantee you to kill more people. It doesn't even guarantee you to hit more people. It just means you get off more bullets. What gives you the probability. The probability. And again, you want to, well, not again, but you want to start eliminating guns solely based on probability. You want to eliminate a lot of shit. We can do that with everything. Probability.
What keeps those 58 people alive?
Once you start doing that, what's the next accessory?
Right.
Now you're opening up a whole nother thing because it's not a firearm.
Let's keep going through what the solutions are. President Trump is proposing arming teachers, those that are trained and adept. Who's comfortable? Arms up.
Okay, I don't know what he meant by arming teacher. I hope it's not this, right? So when I was working at this one job, we were in a cafeteria waiting on the morning meeting to start. And one of these shootings at the school happened, and they brought up this idea. Well, no, they brought up taking guns away. And this guy said, "Ain't taking my guns," which and this was before I was in the guns, so I was like, what the fuck ever. I don't care. But he said, no, what they should do is get those teacher guns. That'll stop them. And it's like, that, even then, when I wasn't in the gun, just irked my nerves. You can't just, first of all, I seriously doubt most people, like, I've been to school for like over a decade. Most teachers don't want a gun. They definitely, if they do have it, they wouldn't want you to know they have a gun. Because otherwise, I know more teachers who had guns, even if the guns were just at home. So most teachers either aren't comfortable with the gun, or they simply don't want you to know that they have a gun. So arming teachers in generally, no. And again, are you going to allow those teachers in inner city schools to have them too? Because I went to school in inner city. We pushed teachers to the limit. And I mean push. This one lady, she ran out of class crying because the little girl called her a bitch. And that's all she did. So you know she was getting treated like this for a while. This one teacher, she didn't have a mental breakdown, but we caused her a living hell because she was a pushover. Not me, them, but you know, get my drift. This one guy, he had no control over. And I was in 7th grade with this dude. This dude, he didn't cry, but he was like, it felt like he was crying because it got to the point to where we would come in, we would talk, ignore him, and he would just be like, that's it. Like, he couldn't do shit else. He like went and got the principal, or he just sat his ass there and watched us be delinquents. I don't think you want these teachers having guns just in generally. Well, at least push it onto them, because I'm pretty sure some of them, if they do like guns, probably do carry them, especially in the inner city. But making a general, like, all of you carry guns, no. Probably a bad idea.
They want to, as a
If
volunteer.
they want to, voluntarily.
Voluntarily.
Okay.
Voluntarily.
Why aren't you comfortable with that, Amanda?
I mean, I feel like this shouldn't even need to be explained. I think Mr. Trump is way off the mark on this. You don't want to bring more guns into a situation. The answer to solving violence is not more violence.
You were a teacher
Yeah,
for
the
7 years.
last thing I want is a gun in my classroom. And when you're trying to shoot a shooter that's in the building, you're going to hit kids. Or if the police show up and you're a black teacher holding a gun because you were defending against a shooter, you're going to get shot.
I totally understand what you're saying.
Oh, when Black Lives Matter, boy, all of a sudden, Black Lives fucking matter. You don't say. Don't give the black teachers a gun because the cops will shoot them. That's relevant now.
And that concern, and I know a lot of people have that, but I think we agree we don't want people armed that aren't prepared to do what needs to be done if they have to and don't have the training.
No one can possibly be prepared for a situation where you're
Well, you can train
firing
for it.
gunshots around
You
children.
don't have
You
that
can't
right to
prepare
make
for
that choice for children that are in school when they could be protected by somebody
You don't have the
potentially
right
with
to
a
make
gun
the choice
that
that
has
they might get
training.
caught in crossfire.
You don't have the
It's
right
wrong.
to rule over their life
Have
and
you-
say that
have
they
you
didn't
ever
have
been
the
a teacher?
opportunity to save those children.
But you're
Been a
ruling over
teacher.
their lives saying that we should have AR-15 and allow someone to bring it in.
Incorrect.
Dude, that was a complete misrepresentation of his point. If you didn't catch that, he said, you're ruling over their lives by saying we should have AR-15s and allow somebody to bring it in. Dude, no. No. He's saying he should be allowed to own an AR-15 in spite what happens at a school by a crazy guy. That's what he's saying.
For my self-protection or in a classroom, I want anything that's better than what he has. And I want more rounds than whatever he has.
Okay, so here's why a couple of them are so relevant. They're all three of them are rethinking their own gun purchases, but two of them destroyed their guns. So Scott, on the lower left, he's the one whose video went viral. He destroyed his AR-15 because of what he saw in Parkland. So tomorrow, we're going to talk to him about why he decided to do this. Also, the teacher on the right-hand side, the blonde on the lower right, she also destroyed her gun because of Parkland. So we're going to ask what's happened in their lives if they regret doing that.
Well, so look,
Announcing you're destroying your guns is kind of stupid, because if there's a criminal in your area and they are looking to do like breaking houses or whatever, where he lived at, I seriously doubt that that's an issue for him. But that kind of just makes you a target at that point. So if you're feeling like they're feeling, but you live somewhere like where I live, don't announce that you got rid of your guns. Don't do that. That's stupid. Stupid. That's moronic. It's kind of stupid.
I think that this is a very fair reflection of where people's minds are on this issue. And at the end of the day, it becomes about the political will. There's no question that legally, some of the people there are wrong about what you can do and you can't do legally. Yes, it's a right in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It can be subject to reasonable regulation. Even Scalia said that, and we have it. If the politicians want to do it, they will be rewarded or punished at the polls. That's the way it should work. Will some of those people be upset? Yes.
No, that's not how it should work. What y'all aren't understanding is you can't take away from somebody when it's in that bill. You can't regulate what I'm able to own. You shouldn't be able to do that. If you can regulate what I'm able to own, especially when it comes to firearm, you can control me entirely. You can control me entirely. That, what he just described, that is a dictatorship. That is a dictatorship. The government has ultimate authority. You don't really have any freedom. You have as much as they allow you to have. That's what he just described. And if I have the right to live, whatever that dude said, pursuit of happiness and freedom and liberty, I don't really have that if you can tell me what I can and can't own.
Price of political action.
All right, so part two of our sit down with gun owners is tomorrow.
So, if you're Steven Crowder did something. That's Jack for fun.
If you were looking to be an evil prick and do damage, you could do it with this. No one's talking about banning that kind of firearm. Why? Because it's wood. We're going to debunk today. Let's go through the top AR-15 myths, because that's what everyone is talking about. So first, question of the day, public shooting. They pick a topic, and right now it is AR-15. That's enemy numero uno, as opposed to going after all guns, which I think is a little bit of a bait and switch. So this has been making the rounds everywhere. Things like this regarding the AR-15. Here's a woman.
The only way that I can know for sure that this gun will never hurt anyone is if it doesn't exist. I'm not going to let the Second Amendment anymore be used as an excuse for considering children as collateral damage in this country.
The only way to ensure that her inanimate object did not harm somebody. It makes sense that we found the rifle in question. Yeah, she had to be.
Oh, yeah.
It's shifty.
Of course.
And then this has been making the rounds. This guy destroying his AR-15. It's everywhere. It's all over Facebook and Occupy Facebook, Democrats for Bernie Sanders, whatever. Watch.
When do we make laws that say maybe a weapon like this isn't acceptable in today's society? Is the right to own this weapon more important than someone's life? There's so many of them out there. Well, now, there's one less.
No, there is one more highly illegal rifle.
highly
illegal rifle that no longer fits the government's requirements. I hope someone sends somebody after him. Now, I know obviously the spirit of it is sawed-off shotgun because of the spread, but still, you're not allowed to do that, sir.
Sawed-off shotguns, by the way, also, most places, very...
No, yeah, that's the point. That's why they're illegal. But the fact that I don't think that was his gun. The fact that he knows so little about firearms and firearms safety.
All right, I just wanted to look at that. But before I jump off, look. What did the AR-15 that guy sawed in half? Who did it harm? Who did it harm? That's the point. You're saying, hey, give up my gun, give up your gun because a gun that aren't these guns did damage. How moronic is that? How moronic is that?